Shalom, friends. I'd like to spend some time with you discussing a very noble human attribute, and that's the attribute of courage or bravery. There are many things that we could debate, but I believe almost universally the admiration that people have towards others that seem to be steadfast, resolute, courageous, and brave, there's no debate. I mean, people admire it. And at the same time, I don't know of another quality that's so universally detested as foolishness. He's a fool. And foolishness has always been seen as something of weakness. Everyone exploits the fool. Yet, when you think about it, there are sometimes actions that a person does that one would say is a foolish action. The other one would say it was a brave action. How can you tell the difference between the two? It's on record, a great rabbi once said that he would much rather go to hell and spend it in the company of wise people than to stay in paradise in the company of fools. So it's not a simple question. We don't want to be foolish. We don't want to be in the company of fools. How would we know if we examine their actions? You know, many of us, when we think about valor and bravery, we think about the courage necessary in a battlefield. So imagine, the commander says, I need a volunteer, someone to go behind enemy lines, and one fellow volunteers. Very dangerous mission. Some of his unit says, what a fool, man's crazy. Others say, how brave he is. A person is confronted with an intruder in his home and resists and fights. One newspaper commentator says, what a fool. The other newspaper commentator says, how brave. How do we know which one is which? It has been suggested that a fool is brave because he feels no fear. A man of courage is brave. He feels the fear. He knows the fear, but does not allow the fear to stop him. So he's aware of fear, but it's not an impediment. Let me tweak this idea a little bit. When we think about fear, it's almost always connected to loss. People are frightened about losing something. Everyone has something that's precious to them. And when there's a danger of losing that thing of preciousness, they are frightened. If a fool feels no fear, you could actually question, does he find nothing of significance in his life? Is there nothing worth being anxious about? Is he perfectly satisfied with the loss of? And if that's true, he's much more than a fool. He is to be pitied, for he stands for nothing and therefore could lose everything. The brave person, he understands things of value. He's frightened of losing those things of value. But that doesn't stop him, because he knows that precisely doing this and this action will help him preserve either that very thing that he's frightened of losing, or alternatively, he will be gaining something greater. So the soldier that volunteers, if it's because he finds life meaningless, you're right. He did not do a brave act. He's a fool. If it's because he loves his country, or he wants to protect his family, or he's loyal to his companions, and he wants to go out of his way to make sure that they will be protected, the man is courageous and brave, and indeed, a very noble attribute has been expressed. We Jewish people have had leaders that exemplified courage and bravery, and I'd share with you one story of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, in the year 1921. This was a great leader of Russian Jewry and taught and propagated and encouraged Jewish people to be loyal to their religion and their heritage. The secret police arrested him. They brought him into a cellar and they tried to badger him into signing a confession that he was going against the government. He, of course, refused to sign. And he said, I wasn't against the government. I'm a loyal Jew, and I'm loyal to my government. And there's nothing in the Soviet Constitution that prohibits a Jew from being religious. One of the interrogators was losing patience quickly. And he unsheathed from his from his belt, he took out a revolver, pointed the gun at the Rebbe, and he said, you see this little toy? This little toy has changed many a mind. And the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Joseph Yitzchak, looked at him and said, that little toy could frighten a person that has one world and two gods. But I have one God and two worlds. I'm not frightened. It's a very powerful statement. One of the possible meanings is as follows. What are we frightened of? Losing. Are we frightened of losing eating, drinking, sleeping? We're frightened of losing life itself. To which the Rebbe said, a Jew has two lives. He has two worlds. He has two dimensions. And even if he cannot live a life physically, his soul will continue to live. And actually his life will continue. I have two worlds. I'm not frightened of you. Whatever I lose, I gain. It's something I believe that we should reflect upon. The next time you think to yourself, am I frightened to commit to a Torah lifestyle? Ask yourself, what are you giving up? What are you frightened of losing? What will you gain? Look at the Shabbos table. Look at the gift of Shabbos. You giving up golf, laundry, Safeway shopping? Maybe. What are you gaining? Eternity, family, and serenity. I close with a prayer for all of us. We should be strong. We should be courageous. We should have the determination to do what's right. And let's hope and pray that the Almighty God will give us the wisdom to know how to choose and when to choose to be courageous. And in that merit, we will all merit to see the coming of Mashiach.